Hello and welcome to another spiritual learning video. Today we're going to go over spiritual but not religious. What does that mean? Let's go into this. We've all heard people say they're spiritual but not religious. What does that really mean? What statements can capture that sentiment? I lost religion and found God. I see God in the woods, not the church. I don't need a priest to tell me how to follow Jesus. According to a recent survey, 1 in 5 Americans, about 66 million people, identifies as spiritual but not religious. 29% of Americans, some 96 million people, identify as both spiritual and religious. Perhaps unsurprisingly, over half of the spiritual but not religious crowd is under the age of 50, and 18% also identify as Catholic. Why is this happening? What's the matter with religion? Criticism of organized religion certainly isn't new, but the rapidly growing number of spiritual but not religious folks suggests that it too is increasing. Complaints run gambit, but most center on the hypocrisy of believers, perceived authoritarianism in the church, and sectarian squabbling. Most people who left the church all share the same frustration: Christian hypocrites. From the point of view of many people, religion is seen by many as a major source of conflict and division in society, despite preaching peace and love. Religion has been responsible for untold violence and most wars. Churches, especially the Catholic Church, waste billions of dollars each year on displays of opulence that could instead be used to lift people up out of poverty or combat other social ills like famine and disease. Worst of all, many people feel that the people who fill the pews every Sunday are a bunch of sinful, judgmental frauds. As if hypocrites aren't bad enough, Christian doctrines are downright oppressive. All the rules, traditions, and obligations are designed to control people. Most clergy are corrupt, power-hungry actors. Jesus himself opposed institutional religion, which is man-made, not God-given. As many spiritual but not religious people complain, the structure and rigidness of a church is antithetical to everything Jesus represents. To top it all off, the incessant bickering between dominations, all claiming theirs is the true Christianity, well, it virtually leaves a bad taste in many mouths. The Americans' exodus from the church suggests that these are very persuasive criticisms. And it's not just an American phenomenon either. The decline of Christianity in Europe is even starker. So, the question is, if religion is the problem, why does spirituality remain so appealing to many? While organized religion is increasingly seen as unnecessary at best and evil at its worst, spirituality offers a desirable middle path. The spiritual but not religious label enables a person to distance themselves from religion's various warts, real or imagined, without closing the door on sacred. As one professor of religion noted, calling oneself spiritual but not religious broadcasts a clear message. I'm not some cold-hearted atheist, but I'm not some kind of memorializing prudist person either. I'm nice, friendly, and spiritual but not religious. Being spiritual but not religious has its numerous advantages. A spiritual person can still believe there's a higher meaning or purpose to life without adhering to the demanding teachings. Teachings such as the Catholics' prohibition on conception or Islam's ban on alcohol consumption. A spiritual person may also continue to hold some things sacred while rejecting the blind faith passed down by his parents. Spiritual people are free to develop a relationship with God, follow their conscience, and decide moral questions for oneself. And maybe best of all, you don't have to answer to anyone when you fail to live out your life ideals. In other words, the spiritual but not religious person can have his cake and eat it too. The Catholic rebuttal is that the glaring problem with spiritual but not religious mindset is that last bit. See, making your own faith is great. However, it actually undermines the entire project, for it permits a person to do whatever they want. This is most evident in the makeup of spiritual but not religious demographic, which includes nature worshippers, psychedelic drugs, and living more pensive. In essence, I'm spiritual but not religious means whatever a person wants it to mean. Some religious professors believe that all the spiritual but not religious person needs to worry about is what he or she wants. In this case, my God is me. I become the one who decides. This is what God would want, rather than asking God, what do you want? However, some spiritual but not religious folks maintain a tremendous relationship with Christianity, for they believe in the divinity of Jesus, but see religion as a corrupting influence on divine revelations. Religion, they say, has distorted Jesus' teaching and prevents rather than facilitates true relationships with him. We can know something about God, including that he exists, through reason alone, but God has revealed other truths to us through divine revelation in the person of Jesus Christ. If Jesus is God, then that means that God is not impersonal. He is not invented by us. He is revealed to us. Our spirituality has been formed and informed by our religion. In other words, if you're a believer in the divinity of Jesus, then we must be religious, for Jesus taught specific doctrines. Love your enemies and pray for those who prosecute you. The meaning of spirituality is about constantly coming back, looking inward, getting recentered, and looking beyond ourselves. Mind, body, and spirit are not separate. Spirituality persuades us to connect to our inner and outer selves, making space for discernment and authenticity. Now, back to those nature worshippers. What is creation spirituality? Creation spirituality is the idea that divinity permeates all things, and all things have an imprint of divinity. Yet the sum of all things does not fully encompass the mystery of the divine. At creation spirituality's core is a theological concept called pantheism, which literally means all in God. Theism, the classic concept for God in the West, speaks of God up there or out there. Conversely, some Amist traditions use the framework called pantheism, the idea that all things are divinations. One theologian of creation spirituality from the 13th century was a mystic who stated, "We are to apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is full of God." If divinity permeates all things, the rainforest, the biosphere, our rivers, streams, and oceans, then diminishing the viability of the earth, our mother, is a tantamount of apostasy. Creation spirituality has two primary aims. Integrate the wisdom of the Eastern and Western spirituality with the revelation of modern science to awaken mysticism, revitalize our culture, and promote social and ecological justice. And the second, inspire sacred work. Inspire us to embody, support, reflect and honor the spirituality of creation as it is expressed in the diversity of the cosmos. It compels us to lead lives of spiritual inquiry, creativity, prophetic actions, and our sacred work in the world. Now, about those psychedelic drugs. A recent study revealed a connection between regular DMT use and the belief in a higher power. The study shows 4 atheists who now believe in God. Some Native American or American Indians legally use hallucinogenic substances as part of religious and spiritual ceremonies. Native Americans have used peyote as a religious sacrament for thousands of years. Native Americans even applied peyote externally for wounds, burns, snake bites, and skin disease. It was used in Mexico in pre-Columbian times to induce supernatural visions and as a medicine. So, can you be spiritual without being religious then? Being SBNR is just not regarding organized religion as the sole or most valuable means of furthering your spiritual growth. Thanks for watching another spiritual video. For more content like this, please check out our spiritual learning playlist. And we'll see you again soon.